Let me stop you right there. Calm isn't passive, it's power. It's the ability to slow down time in a high-speed world. It's the voice inside that says, "We got this." When everything outside is screaming, "Panic!" Let's be real. Life's not going to hand you ideal conditions to practice calm. You'll get chaos. You'll get betrayal. You'll get that phone call in the middle of the night. You'll sit across from someone who's lying straight to your face. You'll feel the heat rise in your chest, and your heart pounding so loud, you can't hear yourself think. That's your moment. That's your training ground. Because anyone can be calm when things are easy. But the real test? It's when your back is against the wall, when your emotions are flaring, when fear wants to take the wheel. That's when calm becomes your weapon. Start with your breath. Yeah, I know, it sounds basic, but when you're in the middle of a high-stress situation, your breathing is the first thing that betrays you. It gets shallow, it gets fast. You're feeding anxiety without even knowing it. You want to control your mind? Start by controlling your breath. Slow, deep, intentional. I'm talking about breathing from your diaphragm, not your chest. Inhale, hold. Exhale. Do it again. You're not just calming your body, you're telling your brain, "We're safe." You're hijacking the panic response before it owns you. Next, eliminate the idea that emotions run the show. Emotions are indicators, not dictators. They're like dashboard lights in your car. They're there to give you feedback, not to drive. Anger? That's telling you a boundary's been crossed. Fear? That's pointing at uncertainty. Frustration? That's saying you care. But those emotions don't get to make decisions. You do. And that comes from awareness, from being able to observe your own reaction in real time and choosing not to act on impulse. Don't let people who lose their temper convince you they're powerful. Power is the ability to hold back when you want to lash out. Power is being able to think clearly when others are falling apart. You want to command a room, walk into chaos and be the only one not shaken. That's influence. That's authority. That's the kind of calm that isn't just felt. It's seen, it's respected, it's followed. But here's the catch. You don't get there without putting in the reps. Just like a muscle, your mental resilience only grows if you challenge it. That means putting yourself in discomfort on purpose. Take cold showers, delay gratification, have hard conversations without losing your cool. Meditate not because it's trendy, but because sitting in stillness when your mind is racing is one of the hardest things you can do. It's about self-commandment. And no one hands that to you. You earn it by showing up consistently, especially when it's uncomfortable. You want to stay calm in any situation? Stop running from pressure. Lean into it. Pressure is what transforms coal into diamonds. It either cracks you or it reveals you. You get to choose. And don't confuse staying calm with being passive. Calm doesn't mean silence when action is needed. It means being deliberate. It means choosing the right words, the right tone, the right move. Because you're not reacting, you're responding. There's a difference. Train yourself to expect adversity. Not fear it, not avoid it. Expect it. Why? Because when you expect the unexpected, you take the sting out of surprise. You're not blindsided. You're prepared. You've rehearsed it in your mind. You've already been there. That's what elite performers do. That's what survivors do. They mentally rehearse the worst-case scenarios, not to dwell in negativity, but to build readiness. That way, when the moment comes, it's not chaos. It's just another rep. People talk about confidence like it's something you're born with. Let me tell you something. Real confidence comes from competence. From knowing you've trained your mind to stay composed no matter what. That kind of confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. It shows up in posture, in eye contact, in stillness. The person who isn't flinching, who isn't rushing, who isn't oversharing, that's the person who's done the work. You also need to clean up the mental clutter. The more noise you carry in your head, the easier it is to get rattled. Stop letting every opinion, every piece of bad news, every text message, every bit of gossip take up space in your mind. Create boundaries. Guard your mental real estate like it's sacred, because it is. If you're letting chaos in constantly, don't be surprised when you can't find calm. Part of this training is learning what to ignore. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult deserves a response. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes strength is walking away, not because you're weak, but because you're focused. Your peace is too expensive to trade for cheap drama. Stay mission-fected. Keep your energy aimed at the target. And speaking of energy, watch your self-talk. Your inner dialogue shapes your outer reality. You can't have a calm exterior if your mind is a war zone. If you're telling yourself you're not capable, not ready, not good enough, you're fueling your own panic. That voice in your head? Train it. Make it your coach, not your critic. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you respect, someone you believe in, because if you don't have your own back when things get hard, who will? You need rituals, not just routines. Routines are what you do. Rituals are how you do them. With intention. Wake up early not just to beat the clock, but to own your day before the world makes demands on you. Journal, not because it's cute, but because dumping your thoughts on paper helps you process. Hit the gym, not just to look good, but because strength breeds confidence. Eat clean, hydrate, sleep. These things aren't luxuries. They're fuel for mental clarity. And clarity is key to staying calm under fire. Here's another truth. You've got to detach. Not from people, but from outcomes. Do your part and let go of what's out of your hands. You can't control everything, but you can control how you show up. You can control your effort, your attitude, your presence. That's your domain. That's where you find power. Because when you stop trying to micromanage the uncontrollable, you free up energy to focus on what matters. Life's going to throw curveballs. You'll lose things. People will disappoint you. You'll make mistakes. You'll fail. And if you think calm means never feeling those things, you're missing the point. Calm isn't the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. It's the choice to feel deeply and still move forward with clarity. It's sitting in pain without being ruled by it. That's real control. That's real courage. Surround yourself with people who reflect that energy. You become what you're around. If your circle thrives on chaos, drama, and panic, you'll absorb it whether you want to or not. Get around people who breathe calm, elevate the conversation, who stay grounded when everyone else is spiraling. That kind of influence sharpens you. And let's talk about crisis. Crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it, but it can be your opportunity to forge the version of yourself that doesn't flinch, that doesn't fold. When you're in the middle of a crisis, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Do I need to develop right now? Shift from victim mode to mission mode. That's how warriors think. That's how leaders think. That's how calm becomes your default, not just your goal. People who stay calm aren't special. They've just made a decision to train when others coast, a decision to respond when others react, a decision to rise above instead of sink into the noise. And they've made that decision not once, but over and over, until it became automatic, until it became who they are. You can do that. You just have to want it badly enough to do the work. They want calm to be something they stumble upon, something that shows up when things go wrong. But that's not how it works. Calm isn't natural for most of us. What's natural is panic, emotional overreaction, anxiety, fear. And if you let those run the show, they will every time. Training your mind to stay calm starts with accepting that this is a process, a discipline, something you build through discomfort. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of training. If you haven't trained your mind to remain calm when things are hard, then when you're tested by conflict, crisis, or pressure, you won't magically show up with composure. You'll default to old habits. You'll react, not respond. You'll lash out, shut down, or make emotional decisions that cost you peace, relationships, and sometimes even your credibility. That's why you can't wait for calm to just show up. You have to go get it. You have to build it like a muscle. And just like training your body, you start small. You don't walk into the gym on day one and lift 300 pounds. Same goes for your mind. You start by noticing your breath. The moment you feel tension rise in your body, your shoulders tighten, your jaw locks, your heart rate picks up, that's your cue. You breathe. Deep, deliberate inhales through your nose and slow, steady exhales through your mouth. Do it enough, and it becomes your reset button, a signal to your nervous system that you're in control, that you're safe. Because when your body thinks it's in danger, your brain shuts off higher thinking and switches into survival. That's when you lose the ability to reason. But when you control your breath, you regain access to clarity. Then there's the mental discipline. You've got to be able to witness your thoughts without getting dragged by them. That takes work. When anger shows up, you need to see it, feel it, and still choose not to act on it immediately. When fear creeps in, you acknowledge it, but you don't surrender to it. This kind of control doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you've created space between stimulus and response. You see the emotional trigger, and you choose how you respond to it instead of being owned by it. That's power. It's easy to be calm when everything's going well, when no one's challenging you, when life is convenient, when people are agreeing with you. But that's not training. Training is when someone disrespects you and you stay composed. When plans fall apart and you don't spiral. When you're sitting in uncertainty and instead of reaching for control or escape, you sit in it. You breathe in it. You lead in it. That's the work. That's the real training. It's uncomfortable. It's frustrating. It's a grind. But that's where composure is built. And it's not just in the big dramatic moments. Training your calm happens in the little things. The daily inconveniences that most people brush off as unimportant. Traffic, waiting in line, miscommunication. Those are your reps. Every time you resist the urge to complain, to snap, to rush, you're building endurance, mental toughness. Calm under pressure doesn't come from avoiding stress. It comes from walking through stress and teaching your mind to stay level anyway. You have to understand this isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's not about suppressing emotions or faking peace. That's not real calm. That's denial, and it will crack under pressure. Real calm is rooted in truth. It's built from a deep inner knowing that no matter what's happening around you, you're not going to lose yourself in it. You're not going to be controlled by it. That comes from reps, from showing up for yourself over and over in the face of difficulty, from choosing self-command over self-indulgence. And yes, it's going to feel unnatural at first. Your body will want to react, your emotions will want to take over, but that's the moment you push through. That's the moment you make the decision. Do I give in to the old pattern, or do I hold the line? Do I go back to chaos, or do I claim calm as my new standard? And with every decision, you're rewiring your response. You're reinforcing control. You're becoming the version of you that doesn't break under pressure. Don't underestimate the power of showing up every day to do the mental work, whether it's breath work, mindfulness, journaling, or cold exposure. Whatever your tools are, use them. Use them when things are easy so they'll be automatic when things are not. Because when life throws its hardest punches, that's not the time to start training. That's the time to execute. And the only way you can execute calm is if you've put in the work to make it who you are, not just how you act. You don't control everything. And the sooner you accept that, the more powerful you become. Because the real strength, the kind that holds firm under pressure, comes from focusing your energy only where it matters. There's a line between what you can influence and what you can't. Trying to control things outside that line doesn't just waste your time, it drains your mental clarity, triggers your emotions, and sabotages your calm. You want to stay composed in any situation? Start here. Control what you can, let go of what you can't. Most people don't even realize how much energy they're leaking every day by trying to manage things that are completely out of their hands. What other people think of you, what someone said behind your back, the outcome of a decision after you've done your part. These are the distractions. These are the mental traps. And they're loud. They pull at your attention. They tempt your ego. They whisper that if you just worry a little harder, stress a little longer, you can somehow force the result. But you can't. You can only show up, do the work, stay grounded, and release the rest. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've disciplined your mind to care where it counts. When you're too busy trying to manipulate the uncontrollable, you neglect the one thing that's actually within your power: how you show up, your mindset, your tone, your preparation, your decisions. That's your domain. That's where your influence lives. And the moment you shift your focus inward, on your effort, your process, you reclaim your calm. Because now you're not scattered, you're not in 5 different places mentally, trying to fix everything. You're rooted, present, clear. You see, calm isn't about everything going right. It's about having a system within yourself that stays steady when everything around you doesn't. That system gets stronger the more you trust it. And you can't trust a system that depends on everything outside of you to go a certain way. That's fragile. That's unstable. True composure comes from detachment. Not from apathy, but from strategy. You detach from outcomes. Because your identity, your confidence, your peace, none of it is hooked into something you can't control. You're not giving outside forces the power to dictate your state. The people who stay calm in crisis aren't the ones who have everything figured out. They're the ones who've trained themselves to stay in their lane. They've let go of the illusion that they can predict or prevent every challenge. Instead, they've put that energy into preparation, into clarity, into response over reaction. That's what allows them to walk into a storm and not get swept up by it. They know exactly where their influence begins and ends, and that creates freedom. Every time you get anxious about something you can't control, stop and ask yourself, is this my responsibility? Or is it just my attachment? That question is a game changer, because often what we call responsibility is just fear in disguise. We fear failure, so we try to micromanage. We fear rejection, so we obsess over what people think. We fear loss, so we try to cling tighter. But none of that creates calm. It creates chaos. And the only way to cut through it is to be ruthlessly honest with yourself about where your power actually lies. Your peace comes from ownership, from taking full accountability for your actions, your mindset, your boundaries, and zero ownership for everything else. You're not responsible for how people receive your truth. You're not responsible for how someone reacts to your boundaries. You're responsible for communicating clearly, respectfully, firmly. What they do with that isn't yours to carry. That's how you protect your energy. That's how you keep your mind clean, not cluttered with guilt, doubt, focus. And let's be real, letting go isn't always easy. It requires trust. Trust that if you handle your part with excellence, the chips will fall where they're meant to. Trust that if something isn't working out, it's not because you failed. It's because it's not aligned and something better is unfolding. That trust doesn't make you passive. It makes you resilient. You still show up, you still grind, you still push, but you don't attach your worth to the result. That's maturity. That's mastery. That's peace.